I guess one thing for me has been always trying to rise up to the occasion.
With 16 wins to his name and currently ranking at number 9 in the UFC middleweight rankings, Kelvin Gastelum is one of the best MMA fighters in the UFC. Standing at 5 foot 9 inches and weighing at 185 pounds, Gastelum has made himself into one of the most dangerous fighters in the UFC, losing only 7 fights in his career. His steady wins have culminated into a career worth millions of dollars. Raised by a single mother and hailing from a humble background, Gastelum has turned his fortune around. Today, he's not only worth millions of dollars, but he continues to make hundreds of thousands every time he steps into the octagon. In this video, we'll look at the background of the American fighter, his lifestyle, and how he spends the millions he makes. But before we get into the video, don't forget to overhand right that like button and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the new videos that we post. Okay, let's go. Background. Gastelum was born in 1991 to parents of Mexican descent. His family comes from Sonora, where the fighter lived temporarily as a child. Gastelum's father was absent and he had to be raised single-handedly by his mother, who worked 4 different jobs to make ends meet. However, since her son became an international MMA star, she has opened her own restaurant in Yuma where she specializes in making hot dogs and tacos. It's a beautiful restaurant named El Campeon. The first time Gastelum would be introduced to combat sports came in his high school days at Cibola High School, Yuma, Arizona. The young fighter was fascinated by the art of the combative sport, and this pushed him to join the wrestling team. As soon as he joined, he realized that he was a natural, and he decided to continue even when he started college. In high school, he won a Division III AIA state wrestling title and also became one of the top 5 best in the country as a freshman at North Idaho College. However, after a year in college, he decided to drop out so he could focus on mixed martial arts, which now had become his chosen career path. To make ends meet, Gastelum chose to work as a bail bondsman before he went into fighting full-time. As soon as he turned professional, Gastelum quickly made a record of 5 straight wins without a single loss before he joined the Ultimate Fighter. In 2013, his name got mentioned in the Ultimate Fighter Team Jones vs. Team Sonnen. Even though he was last to be picked, he ended up joining Chael Sonnen on Team Sonnen. All of a sudden, the fight started and Gastelum's first opponent was Bubba McDaniel, whom he defeated in the second round by a submission. This win immediately pitted him against Colin Hart in the quarterfinals, and he quickly won the fight in the first round by a TKO. In the semifinals, Gastelum came up against Josh Saman, may he rest in peace, a then worthy opponent. However, Gastelum shocked the entire MMA world. He defeated Josh via a rear naked choke in the first round, sending him to the tournament finals. In the finals, Gastelum had to face a fighter who was on the same team with him, Uriah Hall. After a bloody exchange of kicks and punches in 15 minutes, Gastelum won the fight by a split decision, and this made him the youngest Ultimate Fighter in the history of the show. He was 21 years old when he earned his UFC contract. After this victory, Gastelum made the announcement that he would no longer be fighting in the same weight class. He moved the division below and began fighting in the UFC welterweight division. His first fight in the UFC was supposed to be against Paulo Thiago at UFC Fight Night 27. However, just before the slated date, Thiago pulled out of the fight due to knee injury. He was replaced by Brian Melcon, whom Gastelum defeated by a rear naked choke in the first round of the fight. In the same year, Gastelum was expected to face experienced fighter Court McGee, but he had to pull out of the fight due to an injury. Seeing that his career in the UFC was growing, Gastelum asked for a fight against Rick Story in 2014 at UFC 171, and he handed Story a beating in back and forth fights, winning by a split decision. A few months later, Gastelum faced Nico Masuke at UFC Fight Night 44. Everything was going according to plan until he missed the required weight by 1 3/4 pounds, and this meant that he had to forfeit 20% of his fight purse to Masuke. Fortunately for Gastelum, he won the fight by a split decision. His next opponent after Masuke was Jake Ellenberger at UFC 180. He also won this fight, and this earned him his first Performance of the Night bonus award. Unfortunately for the fighter, defeat came in 2015 against Tyrone Woodley. Before the fight, Gastelum missed the required weight by 10 pounds, and this meant again that he had to forfeit 30% of his fight purse to Woodley. However, after the fight, Woodley announced that he wouldn't be taking the money as the defeat and his missing weight were enough punishment. I agree, Woodley. Since he failed to make this required weight on 2 different occasions, Dana White, the president of the UFC, ordered Gastelum to move back up to middleweight. On his return to middleweight, Gastelum was put against Nate Marquardt, whom he defeated via TKO. Things were looking up from there. He was also given a Fight of the Night honor alongside Neil Magny, who defeated Gastelum by a split decision in 2015. For the first time in 2017, he won the Performance of the Night bonus award in his fight against Vitor Belfort. At UFC 212, he was expected to face the experienced and dangerous Anderson Silva. However, before the match, it was discovered that Gastelum had tested positive for high levels of marijuana metabolite, which was above the 180 nanograms per milliliter allowed by the World Anti-Doping Agency. To make matters even worse, worse. This was the drug test result for his fight against Belfort. Immediately, he was suspended for 90 days, and his Performance of the Night award was also rescinded. Later on, the fight with Anderson Silva was rescheduled for November 21st, 2017. However, the same thing happened with Silva as he was pulled out of the fight for failing a drug test. He was eventually replaced by Michael Bisping, whom Gastelum defeated via knockout in just the first round. In 2019, Kelvin was slated to face Israel Adesanya for the interim UFC middleweight championship. He lost the fight unfortunately, but he was still able to earn the Fight of the Night award. He lost his next fight against Darren Till and was fined $1,000 for making contact with another person while on the scale, which was a violation of the weigh-in policy. He suffered another suspension in 2019 after he tested positive for marijuana. Initially a 9-month suspension. His suspension was reduced to 5 months due to the fact that he completed a drug treatment program. Kinda sounds like a lot for marijuana, just saying. He then lost his fight against Jack Hermansson at UFC Fight Night 172 by a heel hook in the first round. On the 17th of April 2021, Gastelum faced Robert Whittaker, an old-time rival. And even though he won Fight of the Night award, he lost the fight by a unanimous decision. The streak of losses he has suffered has put the fighter in a bad place mentally. After his loss to Jack Hermansson in 2012, the fighter told UFC.com, "I really enjoy the process. That hasn't been the case in the past. I hadn't been enjoying the process, enjoying putting myself through these miserable workouts, but that wasn't the case for this fight camp. I'm battling my own demons every single day and conquering those demons." He added in a subsequent interview, "Last year I was supposed to fight in February for the title, and in my head I was going to be a world champion, and that didn't happen. Fought in April and lost, fought in November and lost, so yeah, I think I did go through a little depression. I gained like 30 pounds and had an injury, had to recover from that. I had to battle some demons in my off time, and you know what? I battled them, I conquered them, and here I am ready to go." It's been a crazy journey for Kelvin, but like the hardy warrior he is, there's no doubt he'll be making another solid case for a title fight. His net worth: having won 16 of his fights, Kelvin Gastelum has made a fortune fighting in the UFC. According to several media outlets and websites, the fighter is estimated to be worth around $1.5 million. Against Ian Heinisch at UFC 258, the fighter made over $165,000, which just kept his six-figure earning streak moving. In over 6 fights, Gastelum has made six-figure amounts from each of these fights, making him one of the highest-earning UFC fighters. Despite his loss to Israel Adesanya, reports state that Gastelum walked home with over $230,000. This suggests that he would have made almost $500,000 if he had won the fight. Since he joined the UFC, Gastelum has made over $5 million in UFC payouts alone, and this doesn't include income from other sources. Kelvin currently has deals with King's Muay Thai MMA, UFC, Pure Canna, and FighterWebsites.com. How he spends his money: Kelvin is a pretty private individual, which means that most of his personal spendings are done away from eyes of the public. However, he recently shared on his Instagram a project he started with a pastor in Haiti, an orphanage home which will give homeless children an opportunity at a good education, a loving home, and a family. He has also made it a way that you can donate and get a complete account of how your money was used to help a child. In addition to this, just like every other MMA fighter, Kelvin spends a lot on his body. This includes his gym, training, trainers, dietitians, cooks, and so on. Do you think we missed out on anything? Don't hesitate to tell us in the comment section down below. And with that, we wrap up this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button as more exciting videos are on the way. Thanks for watching.